They break in, steal a bunch of the contractor's stuff. The contractor put trail cameras throughout the building that, would take pictures at night and on the roof and all throughout the building. Well, he broke in again, stole the trail cameras and some more stuff again, but he forgot one trail camera, and we recovered the picture, took it to the police. The police knew who the thief was, knew where he was parked in his RV, went to the RV, recovered the trail cameras and some of the stuff. He had sold some of the stuff. Then he goes to jail. And then about 2 or 3 weeks later, another break-in. We're like, what? How is he breaking in? This time he broke in. There was a tunnel underneath the building. There was a grate on the outside, a tunnel that goes into the basement. And he wrote a note on the contractor's desk. It said,
welcome to Self-Storage Income, everybody. And today our guest has the absolute craziest story of a self-storage break-in, like people breaking in and stealing things that I've ever heard.
They never do that.
They never do that. That never happens.
That never happens.
And this is like, breaking into the Louvre kind of level, like crazy stuff. Like, I'm absolutely shocked. Exactly. Ocean's 11 style. So I'm really excited to dive in. Plus conversions and, buying, but really why he got into this industry and how, and I'm really excited. You guys are going to love this one. So, Connor, with that, should we jump into it?
Let's do it. Wayde, welcome on, man.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited to learn about your story, hear about this break-in. I've been hearing about it all morning, all these things. So we'll get to that. But, origin story, man. Storage, why? Where are you from? How'd you get into it?
Yeah, good one. So I was a practicing dentist for 20 years, and I like to refer to myself as a recovering dentist. So had a successful practice. I had a patient that came in, super successful. He owned hunting lodges, fishing lodges, timber business, and he owned 6 self-storage properties. And every time he came in, I would pick his brain, like, tell me, if you were to do it over again, what's the number one business? And it was always storage. So every time I'd ask a little bit more about storage, and he actually helped me with my first one with some of the metrics and, how to do it. And I did it in the same town that my dental practice was, so it made it a little bit easier. But I really attribute him to kind of pushing me off the edge and getting me into the storage industry.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. Fantastic, man. Just testament to finding mentors, right?
Yes.
That can help guide you through those first deals, man.
So critical.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you've been a dentist for 20 years, when did you make that move? And, are you still practicing, or are you all in storage now? Like, when did you make that move? How did you decide? That could be obviously a very hard decision for a lot of people. Like, how do I actually make this leap? It's a big jump, especially when you have a skill set that is marketable and good, and you have, a good income. And, a lot of people, they're going that comfort level of, this is what I know. Obviously I felt that in insurance. It's just, that's what I knew. That's who we were. That's what we did. That's what my dad had done. That's what I did, right? That was who we were. So making a shift to leave that was a big deal as far as mentality and stuff. A lot bigger than I thought it would be. You know what I mean? I don't think, but I was like, this is what we did. So how did you actually make that decision? Like, how did you come to say it's time, or I need to do it?
Yeah, I think I developed, the first facility was around 2009, which we got C of O in 2009. Great year for real estate. Really good year.
Yeah. Perfect. The best.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
And then in 2011, 12, something like that, I had the good fortune to have spinal fusion surgery. So I was working on a patient, an upper second molar all the way in the back. She couldn't lean back, so she was basically sitting, and I twisted around and was working, and I felt a sharp pain in my neck, radiated down my right arm. My right arm went numb. I couldn't even finish the procedure. I had to have my partner finish the procedure, and that was the last day that I did dentistry. So I was kind of forced to swim or sink, and that was really what got me, all in on storage. And at the time, I thought that to be a curse. I was making $30,000 a month, which is a very good income.
Yes.
And it went to zero overnight. So, I had the other storage facility in 2009 that was just starting to get some traction.
Yeah.
And once I exited dentistry, I think it was 11 or 12, something like that, then I went all in on storage. And that's where the journey kind of started. And we were doing one every other year. And then, over the last couple of years, one every year, 1 to 2 every year. And now, I think we just got C of O in the last 2 months on 2 facilities. We got another one under construction. We got a PSA on another one. So we're starting to really ramp up now.
So how many facilities do you have, and where's the geographical range? Are they all located? Are they spread out?
Yeah, right now, Oregon and California, Central Valley, and then in Oregon. But we're, basically the West Coast is where we go.
Gotcha. And how are you running these things? Are you guys all remote? What does that look like from an operations standpoint?
Yeah, we'd like to switch to more of a hybrid model, which I know we toured your facility yesterday. It's a beautiful facility. Well, and your signage is beautiful. I got a few great ideas for ours in the printing press conversion that we did. But we self-manage a couple, and then we have a management company that manages a couple.
No, that's fantastic.
You went and toured our facility that we had there was a big newspaper company in Boise that went under. It was an office building, then they had a printing press, and then a distribution center in it, and we converted that to a storage facility. And at the time, with what was going on in newspapers, and it was right when COVID started, it's like, this is an amazing opportunity. So we started to look all over the country for these printing, these newspaper companies. And when we'd found a bunch, but there was really, we limited it down to kind of 2 and then 1, and we went and toured it. And it was in Oregon, and we really liked the location. We liked it, everything. It was, at the time, it was just the bandwidth, and the team's like, we got to finish the one that we actually have. We got to get this done. And then he's like, and then we can move on. We're like, okay, and then we'll move on and come back to that. And that's the one that you actually bought and then converted. And so I've been through it. I saw it when it was, the printing press. This morning we were talking about, I'm like, oh yeah. So do you remember where that, kind of that leak was on that side? Where was that coming from? You're talking, it was a door. So was that your first conversion?
No, we've converted a lumberyard. We've converted a hazelnut processing facility. We converted a manufacturing facility. So I love conversions. I love and hate them. I love them because the process is a lot quicker from an entitlement standpoint, but I hate them because there's a lot of brain damage. There's a lot of things you uncover that you don't really think about.
The unknowns.
Change order. There's a lot of change orders, which are painful.
Always more expensive.
Yep.
And so you've done 3? 4?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Which one was the hardest out of them?
Definitely the newspaper building.
Definitely.
Yeah,
That's same with us.
Journal.
Yep, same with us. It was that was definitely the hardest. The big box stores were a lot easier. It's just an empty box that, at the time we blew out the walls and made a road that went down through the middle because it was a bankrupt
Super Kmart.
Super Kmart.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And so it was really big, like it was, Super Kmart. So we could put a road and everything. And looking at that compared to the complexity of the Statesman.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, the different floral heights and levels and making sure, accessibility for tenants, but like egress, all the different things. I mean, we were talking about like sprinkler systems and
it's a maze. You're in the basement. We developed the basement first. So it's like literally a little maze down there.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
And the other ones that you did, they were primarily acquisitions? Or did you do some new builds?
Well, we've done some new builds as well from ground up. Yeah. In fact, we're just poured the slabs on one in Delano, California. So that one's rolling right along.
Okay.
Sweet.
Awesome. And what's the average size?
50,000 feet is our minimum, but we have some, I think the one in Woodburn is 160,000 feet. I mean, with carports and outdoor parking and everything. The one in Porterville is 150,000 feet. So those are beasts, but our one in Salem, the conversion, it's an 86,000 square foot building. I think we'll get 60,000 feet of storage, 55,000 feet of storage, something like that.
Yep. And your acquisitions, were they big facilities or small facilities?
We've only done development. So conversion or ground up.
Wow.
Yeah. We haven't bought any existing facilities.
What
we just do development.
Want to go that direction? There's a lot of people that start out and they're like, dude, I've got to acquire some things. I've got to get my feet wet, all those things. You guys just love the pain, or like, what is it?
That's right.
I think it's, you don't know what you don't know. So
Yeah.
the first one that I did, it was in the town where my dental practice was. It was easy to get to. Everything that could go wrong went wrong on that one.
Yeah.
You know, from wetlands, there was some flooding, had to put a culvert under a railroad, which you can imagine is a disaster. Moving access on a state highway, that was a challenge. The wetland, there was so many things that were challenging, and you just don't know. I mean, now I wouldn't take on that project just because it's too much brain damage, but I think that's how I started. And then when I found the first conversion was the lumber yard, and that was kind of what really got the things going.
That's amazing. I want to hit on some of that stuff here real quick. So for those people out there looking at developments, looking at conversions, what are some of those things that you're like, you better have your I's dotted and T's crossed before you get into them? Because like that deal, you're like, dude, I wouldn't do that again because it's too much. How would you be proactive to find the best and most efficient conversion or development project?
I think I would recommend anybody getting in, join a mastermind like your guys' mastermind, just so you can, rising tide raises all boats. So, get in a room where people know, and you don't have to make those mistakes. And I didn't know about that back then. I didn't even know that there was masterminds or groups to join. Had I done it over again, I would join a mastermind 100%, just so you can not make the same mistakes that everybody else in the room has made. I think that's what I would do differently.
Lots of people are out trying to buy facilities, small ones that range everywhere from $300,000 to $4 or $5 million. They're worried about getting the money or having the financing. This is why we team up with Live Oak Bank, because they get this. They understand storage. We have them help us underwrite deals for our students and others. They are one of the best people in the industry when it comes to getting loans, especially small business loans. They can actually help the customers when they find the asset, understanding how much debt can I get? What's it going to look like? That changes them from being a bank to being a real asset to the customer. We recommend Live Oak Bank to our students as well as others that are trying to get into the storage business. They have an in-depth knowledge of this asset class. It's more than a bank. It's more than simply getting money. They're actually an asset and a partner to them, helping them go through all the things that they don't know and understand. The amount that took us to learn, for the years that it took us, because we didn't know. I mean, basic things, even like rental rate increases. Like, what should I get for a rental rate increase? Well, you really you have 2 seasons in storage. So you have a busy season and a slow season. And so that learning process was like years. Well, we did this last year, what worked in it. And there weren't resources and we didn't know. And what that can do, because a lot of the stuff you're talking about when you're building or when you're looking at a development land, we've done the same thing. So, we have a development. Developments are there's like tiered out versions, right? You have the scratch, nothing, that is also kind of complicated. Like we have a complicated one where we have to move the road and connect it to another road system. It was in 100-year floodplain. We had to change that. We had to get more property to the north. We had to convert, right? The benefits were the land was cheap, right?
Yeah.
It was like $3 a square foot in an area that commercial land trades at like 20, right? But then the problem is the amount we had to go to the city for approvals, everything else, it draws out that time. Now there's other like from scratch where it's a farmer's field that is already zoned. And so you literally just buy it and then build. That's like 2 totally different things.
Totally.
And it's, if you don't know that, those little things add years.
And I think the other thing, looking back at my first facility, I didn't do feasibility. I didn't do model. I went on faith. Oh, this is going to work. My patient said this is the best business. And, I just was hoping that it worked. But that's a terrible strategy. Hope is a terrible strategy. Yes. So, actually getting some numbers, some, feet per capita and modeling it out and, visiting some of the other facilities and making sure that, it's going to lease up because they're not cheap to build. No. I mean, $8 to $12 million average facility size that we do. So you want to make sure that you dot your I's, cross your T's, like you were saying.
Our first facility, we did that. And 2, we did that after we'd already been in the game for 10 years. We had more storage facilities than the guy that did the feasibility study. And people ask, they're like, oh, so why'd you do the feasibility study? And I go, I'd never done development. I go, first of all, the feasibility study helped me understand like what the fill-up rate might be and what demand is. Because looking at demand is different from a development standpoint than it is an acquisition. Because an acquisition, you can see, here's the occupancy, here's the rates, here's where everybody else is at. But a development, you're adding on to what the market already is.
Yep.
Can the market even take that much more, right? Like sometimes you do a development and you're increasing the total supply of the market by 15 to 20%.
Yep.
Like it's not small amounts. And so when we got the feasibility study, we said, yeah, we know storage operations and everything else. And I don't know that he's going to tell me anything I don't already know, but to have somebody look at this and give us a separate feedback besides our faith, because we believed in the project, and have somebody else give that stamp of approval and show us things that we don't know, and we don't know what to ask. I don't know what I don't know, right?
Yeah.
That was massive for me. And two, it was also massive is confidence to go, okay, what we're seeing, we think is correct. A lot of banks now require, feasibility studies and things to be done, but that is a huge, huge piece of it. And you can obviously get feasibility studies on storage facilities that you just buy that's actually existing, which we do. And especially if you're doing like an SBA loan, people do that. And so when you were getting started, you were kind of doing this. How did you go about getting the money and the loans to complete these projects?
I think that what helped me on that first project, I had an income. The banks love that, $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
And so we got it appraised, and they loaned on appraised amount instead of cost, which was a big, I mean, I didn't put that much down. And I think that's how I really got into it.
Yes.
And then after I sold that one to a REIT, the next one was a little bit easier. And then I had a really good exit on that one. And that's what really gave me the comfort.
Compounding.
Yep.
And now, when you did that first one, walk me through it. This was a very different time.
Yeah.
We're talking about 2009. And you got those loan agreements, everything else. The market is crashing. How long did it take you to get that actually up? So you bought the land to get it up. And then long did it take you to fill it up?
Yeah, I think we leased it up in 2 years.
Good.
I think it was a 2-year lease up. Good. And I built a car wash like a self-serve car wash. Mm-hmm. And that provided some income, as it was leasing up.
That's awesome.
To offset. Amazing.
Yep. But it was a huge pain in the ass, right? The staff for a car wash, and then all of the soaps and
such a pain.
Things are breaking down. So
you think
I don't
it's
do
such
that
a simple business model
Yeah.
until you buy it and you're like, this is a nightmare.
And they kind of suck.
There's this little spot on my car that your car wash didn't get.
The amount of people that are calling and say, you got a scratch on my car, I'm going to sue you. And you look at it and you're like, no, you obviously ran into a building. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just constant. But I love that approach of those that you hedged with an alternative source.
And it was lucky. Like I didn't really think this out. I was doing dentistry 4 days a week or 3 days a week at the time, I think. And so, you don't know what you don't know. And it seemed like, well, let's put a car wash there. And there wasn't a car wash in St. Helens, which is where my first project was. So I thought, well, this will be good. Yeah. And it helped us, but we don't do car washes with storage now.
Yeah. We don't either. Yeah, we've done that, and we learn quickly, and we're like, we're not doing that anymore.
Not for us.
Not for us. No, not at all. It can also distract from the whole business model and everything else. And two, when you did that, you parceled out. Did you sell it with the car wash?
I did. The REIT bought it with it, and then they just sold off the car wash to someone else. Yeah. Okay. They didn't want it either.
Yeah. No, they normally don't.
That's the thing I think a lot of people don't realize is how different those businesses are.
They're totally different.
Whether you've got the car wash or you've got like some retail space, that's another thing that we found is it's very difficult and different.
Very different.
Where you've got different leases, you've got different operations and processes and tenants, and it's like, unless you have the company that's running X and the company that's running Y. Like you have to separate those things out. You can't run them as one.
People think these things are so, I don't care if it's laundromats. I don't care if it's a storage facility, a car wash. People look at these and a lot of people are like, it's so simple.
Oh, it's just a cash cow.
It's just a cash cow. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Always. I'll
time.
just get into it. And then you learn that, no, not only that's not how it works. It's not simple. Actually, some of these things, because they are so simple, they are so specialized.
Yeah.
So they're so specialized. They're so niche that they're so specialized that if you're not doing them things correctly, it has a major impact on that asset.
Yeah.
Because it is specialized. There's only a car wash tenant. This is how you need the location to look. This is that car wash person, how you find them, how you get them, the thing, all on and on and on. It's maybe the concept may be simple, but the actual practice of it, the application of it, is specialized and sensitive to those specialized things. So you need to be good at them. I don't care if that's, once again, there's all of these business models, which I love. Like I love. Like I know people that have made a fortune in car washes. A fortune. And I know people that have made fortune in laundromats. I know people that have made fortune in that, right? The one thing that I found, though, when people look at these very niche things is almost, that's it. So the people that made a fortune in storage, they're not real estate investors.
Yeah.
They're self-storage people.
Yeah.
We have self-storage companies. The person that I know that built a literal empire in the car wash, all I do is car wash. Like, same thing. If I had a storage facility, I would sell that thing off so fast. Because he's like, this is what we do. This is what we know.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have laundromats. That's the only thing they do. They don't do anything else. And they've even said, we bought retail centers and because it was part of it, everything else. And they're like, it was hurting our business because we didn't know what we're doing. We had to get rid of it.
Almost a distraction.
It's almost a distraction.
Yeah,
100%.
And you mentioned as you were going, as you learned, that compounded. The next one got better. The next one got better.
Yeah.
Right. And so your returns and performances magnifies as you specialize.
Yep.
And I think this is where it's hard for a lot of people because that takes time, right? You have to learn what you don't learn. But as you mentioned, having that mastermind of that group, that's what hacks it. That's what can condense that time frame. And I think that's a really, really important piece, especially in specialized industries.
And I think as an entrepreneur, I've got out of my lane before and I found that I get a flat tire. Like I had a junk removal business, like 800 Got Junk. I got in the cannabis. We were one of the first licensed producers in Oregon. We had 5 farms. I lost, $850,000 in that business. So every time I get out of my lane, shiny object, I get a flat tire. So now we just do storage. We stay in our lane. Here's our buy box. Here's what we do. And we stay in our lane.
So what's your buy box look like? Like when you're looking at a conversion or a development, what are the main things that you need for that location?
The first thing we look at, we try to add value. So we try to find a building that we can convert or some land. And then we go into, what's the demand in that market? Can we fill this up? So then we go demand, then we go rates, and we focus on secondary markets. So that's kind of our specialty where the REITs aren't infiltrated as much. That being said, we're in Salem just because it was such a good value add. We did that one. It's a little bit outside of our box because it's, a block away from the state capitol. We understood conversions. We understood how to get it to the finish line. So that I was comfortable doing that. But typically secondary markets, 15,000 people to 75,000 people, something like that in those secondary markets where there's a good demand. Those are that's kind of our sweet spot.
What do you look for demand?
We like 8 feet per capita. That's kind of where we start with. And then if it's higher, then we really start pulling on that thread and digging in. Will it support 10 feet? Like the one in Delano that we're doing right now is, I think, 5 or 6 feet. So, and they're building 600 new homes across the street. So that's a home run. That's a really good one. But those are far and few in between. You don't always find those.
It's funny because a lot of art, when it comes to developments and conversions, a lot of the things that we do are very similar, as in we're looking for value add, and we're not looking for, it's funny, people are like, AJ, you love to make it hard. And I'm like, actually, I do. And the reason being is,
You're right.
You're right. The harder, like, I'm looking for those barriers of entry. So when we move into a market, I'm looking for something that is, when we did the first, the Super Kmart conversion, right? Like, that hadn't been done before. And we had a partner that brought it to us, Reed, who's amazing. And he was like, hey, AJ, we got this. And it was this like loophole, right? And I'm like, if you looked at the rest of the area, where can you build? And you can't. But then we had to figure out all these problems. And then with the Statesman, it was like, you go past here and the city, it like won't let you build. The problem with that is we had to fight.
Yeah.
You had to fight with the city. Like, it was like they didn't want us to be successful, right?
Which makes it really challenging.
Because that conversion was a loophole in the code, which allowed us to put storage in it, and they would never approve it. Like, so if it was ground up, so they couldn't say no, but they were like, we're going to make your life basically kind of miserable. And then when you look at our other new builds, we built something that had never been built in that area of that space. Our first ground up one, we did a mix of climate controlled, and we did these huge, big RV bays with all this stuff that it didn't even exist in the market at the time. Then our next one, it was the same thing. We have to change the nature of the land.
Yeah.
And it's so hard that people don't build in that area. But for me, that comes down to that demand part where we're adding value, we're changing the nature of it. And there tends to be a lot of demand for that reason. And it's like, I guess I'll take the suffering for the ability to say this market is constrained, because I can't change that. And demand can be a tricky thing. And so I love your rules, right? You have rules. And what are we doing to enter into that market?
Yep.
And talk to me about the REITs, because this is a big one. You mentioned we like to go where there's not REITs, but you are in markets with REITs.
Yep.
How has that been now when you build? You're actually in competition, because I don't care where you build, where you convert, where you buy, there will be competition. So competition is different. What is your experience in places without REITs versus with REITs, the pros and cons?
Yeah, I think it's obviously much easier from a rate perspective where the REITs aren't, because they're racing to the bottom, really trying to get,
the REITs are.
Yep. Yep. But where the REITs are, I think our strategic advantage is we're a little bit more nimble, a lot more nimble than a REIT. So we do a lot of grassroots stuff. We go to other businesses. We, go to apartment complexes and see if we can get our brochures out. We do, festivals and different things that they just don't do. We sponsor golf tournaments. We sponsor, local softball teams and soccer teams, and a lot more grassroots. And I think that's been our success, where they're just not doing that. We've implemented a 9-month rate guarantee. I know there's a huge fluctuation where the REITs are really getting people in low and then jacking the rates up super fast. So we're trying to, eliminate that.
And then you're getting their customers, you'd mentioned. So like they go to the REIT and they're just like, you guys are screwing us. And then they'll actually go to you.
Yep. We're experiencing some of that.
It's a good strategy.
It's a lot more challenging when there's REITs, but that's how we kind of combat that.
What does REIT management look like after that 9 months?
We do, I think it's a 7% raise every year. Once a year, we do a 7% rate increase
across the board.
Yep.
All unit types. Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm learning
year of when they moved in, or just total.
Yep. At their anniversary.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay. Perfect. The other thing, I wanted to bring it back to demand. You talked about that square feet per capita being around 8. That's kind of the Goldilocks zone for you guys. If it's above that, what's your process for confirming demand? Because that's a really common thing that we run into, where people are like, I don't really know, like, square feet per capita is here or it's there. Like, what's your guys' process for really confirming it if that square feet per capita is high? Yeah,
we dig in with the local jurisdiction to find out if other storage facilities are coming in that are gonna really change the demand. And then we also look at what's being built, is what kind of multifamily, what kind of subdivisions, trying to get ahead of it. So if we know that there's big like in Woodburn, for instance, the largest Amazon fulfillment center is 1.5 miles away from us. So we knew that that's going to bring in jobs. We knew that's going to bring in people. So we try to get ahead of it with the growth of the community. from, housing, commercial, industrial, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like that. I like looking at those other asset types and development projects going on, looking at, the multifamily, looking at the communities getting built, looking at those diverse economic drivers coming in, those new jobs, those different things. Super important.
Well, because too, the hard thing about development or conversion is, and this is why what you said is so important. When you do that analysis, when you open, the market's not the same.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So when you start versus when you open and stabilize, that market is not the same market. It's 3 years later.
Yep.
And so, that point, I just really want to hit on this of working with the city and working with to say, are there anyone right now that has been approved for storage? What land is available to build storage?
Yep.
Right. And are there any applications in, and understanding that, because you start and then all of a sudden a year later, 3 more people are starting. All the numbers you did when you started your facility are now wrong.
Yep.
And so that understanding that future demand, for me, when you're developing or converting, that's not really future demand because you don't have anything to sell. It's understanding the demand of when you actually have something to sell.
Yep.
And that is so important. And the cities, are they pretty good working with you? I mean, when you ask...
all over the board.
Yeah.
I think we've developed 8 or 9 facilities, and some are beautiful to work with, and some, kick you in the teeth every time you turn around, and it's just rolling a rock up a hill, and you hope that you don't get run over by that rock you're rolling up the hill. Yeah. It's very challenging in some jurisdictions.
Yes. That was one of the most surprising things, I think, to me too, was how different they are.
Yep.
Like it's hard to express the experience. Some you're like our partner in this. Right. And others, it's like, I don't know if you're telling me the truth. I don't know if what you say is going to happen. I don't know if you're against me. Your time frames are wild. You surprise us in meetings, and they're an adversary.
Yep.
Well, it's even like that one we had. Remember where it was like a pay-to-play type thing? There was some legitimate corruption going on here.
Legitimate.
John C. Billups sort of stuff.
I'm not going to say the location, but it was Las Vegas area. And so, literally, it was, you pay this guy, and that is how you can get it built.
Yeah.
And we're like, what? And so it was the guy that works with the city. And we're like, okay, well, what if we use it? No, you don't understand.
Like, you can't even meet with them to discuss this.
You can't even meet with the city to discuss.
Oh, that's a new one.
Pay this guy,
Wild.
and then you'll get approved. And we go, well, how can we know? Or how do you, and like, trust me, that's how it works. That's how it, and we're like, what?
So this individual also does all the campaign fundraising for all you guys too?
Interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah. Also does the legal
Wild,
work
dude.
on site,
Yeah.
and it's just a known thing. And it's like, yep, I'm golfing with the mayor tomorrow, and it blew us away. We were like,
wow.
I didn't know that stuff.
It was interesting to see, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've seen that in some movies here and there,
Yeah.
like maybe, but yeah, it was
And
eye-opening.
we literally got to the point where like, yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah, we're out, dude.
We're out. We're not doing this. The guy's like, nope, you can't talk to the city. You have to pay me. And we went to other people, and they're like, no, yeah, you have to pay him. Like, it wasn't like him just saying it. No, the brokers, the actual other attorneys, everybody else, like, no, you have to pay him. And we're like, okay, no.
Insane. Yeah.
Sounds like a recipe for shakedown after.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
we need a percentage of the revenue now.
Yes.
Right. No kidding.
Wild. So, okay, we got to get to the story.
Yeah, talking wild stories.
Talking wild stories here. Tell us the story about these break-ins.
Yeah. So the Statesman Journal, we're under construction. We had a break-in. We don't have all of our cameras up and everything. So they break in, steal a bunch of the contractor's stuff, lasers, camera, or, his laptops, all of that stuff. And we're like, oh, okay. So then we put up cameras.
He broke in the basement.
Well,
right?
this time he went on the roof. So there's a latch on the roof. So
they
they
got
got
on
on the
figure out
roof.
how he was getting in.
Yep. So we the contractor put trail cameras throughout the building that, would take pictures at night and on the roof and all throughout the building. Well, he broke in again, stole the trail cameras, and some more stuff again, but he forgot one trail camera. And we recovered the picture, took it to the police. The police knew who the thief was, knew where he was parked in his RV,
wild.
went to the RV, recovered the trail cameras and some of the stuff. He had sold some of the stuff. Took him, then he goes to jail, gets out on bond or bail or however that works.
Yeah.
And then about, 2 or 3 weeks later, another break-in. We're like, what? How is he breaking in? This time he broke in. There was a tunnel underneath the building. There was a grate on the outside, a tunnel that goes into the basement, up into the basement. He got in, broke in again. He was out on bail and stole stuff again. Copper wire. And this time they were, stealing copper wire and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And he wrote a note on the contractor's desk. It said, "Try harder next time, your local thief, Clyde." And then he said some other things that I won't say in the podcast, but some not nice things.
Some
but
illustrations or something.
his penmanship was fantastic.
Yeah.
So we had to concrete in the
hilarious.
tunnel and weld the grate. Like, how
Literally
these
tunneling in.
Yeah.
I'm like,
because we couldn't figure out how he was
multiple
getting in
times.
because we locked the hatch, we bolted the doors, boarded up. We're like, how is he getting in? They found this tunnel going in.
That's insane.
Isn't that nuts?
The arrogance is amazing because it's like, it's not like we don't know who you are. And then you write a note, like laughing at it. And you're like,
dude.
you're on bail,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
for doing this. Like,
That is so freaking crazy.
Yeah, a trail camera, a game trail camera caught him.
that's how I got him.
But
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
he's
that's
resourceful. They're resourceful. Like,
Yeah.
take that
Opportunists,
resourcefulness to something productive. And
I always think that when I
Yeah.
hear about these thieves or when you hear about these people that are doing like all this crazy stuff, whether it's Bernie Madoff, whether it's something else, I'm like, if you used that power to actually build something, think of what you could have accomplished.
For sure.
yeah,
Like, it's amazing to me.
yeah.
But it's absolutely wild. Okay, so a couple more questions here. I got for you before we end up. Right now in the environment today, where do you see self-storage at, and how is that changing how you're operating and your plans of what you're doing today?
Good question. I wish I had a crystal ball. I could really dial it in, but
Oh, we got one.
Sit in the
I want to.
back.
Can I rub it a little bit? We are doing everything we can to do hybrid management. So in other words, rent a unit when nobody's there. So if someone shows up at 6:00, nobody's there, they can scan a QR code, rent a unit, get a code, go into their unit when nobody's there. So that's our big push right now, to really try to automate and get people in remotely or unmanned facility. I mean, we're not our core values and our culture is we want to have someone there, especially at these big facilities where there's a lease up, but we also want to capture the tenant if they come in at 6:00 or, early in the morning or at a different time where they can actually get access and get in.
Which is our model. We are a hybrid model. And I think when you look at a lot of people with hybrid models, it's to a lot of people that are like ours where the facility's big.
Yep.
So like some of our facilities, I'm like, it is not even logical that we would not have a person there. The offset of their income isn't even meaningful enough, right? For the things that they have to do every day, like on the facility. We have some that have 11 exits, entrance to different sides of the building. You're talking about 1,500 doors, but we still do the hybrid model of automation. So it is both. And that allows us to have those people that are on site to be more powerful. It also allows us to need to reduce down the amount of staff there. But for our business model, it really is a hybrid of both of them. And I think that the majority of the storage industry will move to that when you're dealing with large facilities, right? When you're talking 50,000 net rentable square feet or below, that's a whole different thing.
beast.
Like you can't even afford the manager, the cost of salary, it's so much to me. I'm like, you can't do it having them. It doesn't even work. The economics don't. So then you need to move to one model. But I think in today's market, you have to do a hybrid model, taking what you would automate on a small facility into a big facility to really compete.
Yeah.
So like it's necessary on one end to do it without the manager as far as revenue stuff, but then it's necessary on the other end to do automation to compete.
Yep. I was just thinking about, so one of the tasks is the manager does a walkthrough of a property, and I have a crazier break-in story than the last one. I just thought of this.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
So she walks the property every day, and we have a bunch of covered carport parking, so RV parking. And she noticed that the steps were down, and she knows the tenant, and like, that's not normal. So she goes, knocks on the door, nobody answers, and the RV moves a little bit. And she's like, oh shit. And this is a manager that just won Manager of the Year, MSM. So she's a rock star.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Calls the tenant. The tenant's like, no, I'm not in the facility. She calls the police, goes out. The police show up with a German Shepherd dog. They open the door like, hey, come out. You're in there. I'm going to send the dog in. He didn't do it. They send the dog in, and the dog grabs a hold of this guy. There is literally blood. I'll have to give you a picture. There's blood all over. The dog chews the shit out of this guy. He's like, okay. I'm out. So the dog comes out. They get the guy. He's all bloodied up.
Yeah.
The RV's bloodied up everywhere, and take him to jail. But she caught him. He went over the fence just before the cameras went live, so didn't see him. You know, I think the cameras come on at, I don't know, 8 or something. He got in at 7:30, so nobody was there. Went into an RV, was sleeping. Had she not noticed the steps down, you would never know.
You would never know.
She, checks the tire. She checks everything, but that's the beauty of having on-site management, and caught him. And I'll have to send you a picture.
That is,
it's crazy. There's
Those
a video.
dogs are like wild. And it's funny. We've had kind of the same thing. We had a tenant where we got a call from a manager, and they had looked and saw on the cameras they were getting in there at right before close, and then they were leaving in the morning, and they go, I see them go into the unit, right, and they don't come out. And so, like, obviously, we know what it is. So me and Rock. It was me and Rock. So Rock was working there. We went went to the unit right on the side of it because that one was open, and there's that space up above. It's high, but we're yelling there, guys, get out. We know you're in there. Get out, come out, right? So they get out, they come out, and we're like, what are you guys doing? You can't be doing this. And like, for anyone that had ever met Rock with our organization, he's jacked. Like, you don't want to, you would not want to. So I'm like totally comfortable there with him. I'm like, yeah, do what he says. So I'm like, and so the guy like gets on the motorcycle, drives away or whatnot. We see on the news the next week that there's a police chase through neighborhoods, and they're having a gunfight, and they shoot the guy down. It was the tenant that me and Rocket just kicked out. And I was like, whoa, holy cow. I'm glad he was there.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
that is crazy.
Yeah, totally wild. But that stuff, that
reminds
happens.
me of another story where we had a tenant, a woman who was selling services. She had a mattress in a unit and would bring men in, and the manager caught her bringing men in, doing pay to play. And so we obviously kicked her out.
Yeah,
so
I haven't seen or heard that one yet.
having a manager on site that's watching, that's super diligent, is priceless.
Yeah,
I think
especially those big facilities. There's so much.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Lisa.
until you mentioned like they're maze.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are. I still go in, and how many times have we been in the States, Ben? And I still go in, and I'm like,
Where's the tape? Which color?
Exactly. So we had to do like these map out tape things, But even with all the technology and everything we could have, there's no way. It's almost like the buildings are separated almost. It's all big one, but they're so big we treat them like they're their own separate buildings.
Yep.
So entrance and exits, parking, drop off here. So take one facility's, entrance, exits, and then you have 4 of them in one.
Yep.
It is that value. That value is incredible. Okay, so now what are your plans? What are you guys doing? What are you trying to build? Where are you going?
Yeah. So our goal. So we work with EOS every quarter.
We do too.
Bring a implementer in, and
awesome.
we want to do 3 to 5 facilities a year. Develop, build, lease up. 3 facilities, 3 to 5 every year, moving forward. So we have some a bit ambitious plans.
Good.
And 3 to 5 a year. That's what we're going to do.
And good time in the market. A lot of people have left. A lot of, especially funny, a lot of people are like, development has just died. And they're like, are you against development and everything else? And like, I'm kind of a contrarian by nature, but I'm like, that actually leads and ends up creating more opportunity than when development was easy, because everybody was doing it.
Yeah.
And so now when they're not, and when that market is just shut down, to go in and find markets that are underserved and to build, you're not nearly as worried about a rush and people just building all over that competition. So it creates a little bit of that insulation.
Yep.
And the market today, because of, once again, we talk about those barriers.
Yep.
High interest rates is a barrier, right? And it makes it difficult. And when you can do things in difficult times, that is a competitive advantage. I think about like the top 10 biggest companies, and whatever it was, 7 of them started in recessions.
Yep.
And there's a reason why that gave them a competitive advantage and allowed them to build. And 2, you can build in equity and market share and things that you just don't get in a competitive market. Like I bet you that one, even though it was 2009, everything, you probably sold it and did pretty good on it.
I did, and rolled that into the next facility that even did better.
Yep.
I learned something about taxes. Didn't pay the tax when I sold it, just rolled all the money into the next facility. So that was a good learning lesson. IRS, they want their money. And they get serious about it.
They get serious about it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yes.
Yeah, they're calling me all the time.
I know, it's weird. So it's okay. We just keep jumping states. Obviously joke.
Joking, guys. Joking. Please don't call me.
That's right. Well, where can we send people, man? We really appreciate you coming here, being on the podcast, sharing your experiences, your story, what you've been through. You've been through a lot. And obviously I feel a connection to your story, how it saved you and your family, that it was, I have the same feelings, everything towards it. And the same thing, that compounding and stacking of skills and growing, it is a lesson for everyone. So we really do appreciate that. Where can we send people to find out about you guys, learn more, contact?
Yeah, our website's just StoreIT.com, StoreIT.com. So super simple. Perfect. And then on social, it's Wayde Elliott, DMD, WAYDE ELLIOTT, DMD. I kept that. I think when I created the social, I had the DMD when I was doing dentistry.
Yep.
So
gotcha. Love it.
So
and we'll have
simple.
that in the show notes. Everybody go check it out. Connor, anything else you want to?
One last thing, man, before we wrap up. You're starting right now today from scratch. What would you do?
I would join AJ's mastermind. That's the first thing that I would do, and I would get some knowledge. One of my core beliefs is learning and growing, and core values is learning and growing. So I think I would start there and really get an understanding. I think everything comes from understanding and not on hope or, because you'll get a lot of different opinions of, we'll go build one. People will come. It doesn't work that way. So I think I would sign up for a mastermind and really get some knowledge and some real data and some experience shares from other operators that have actually done it. So you don't have to make the same mistakes. I think that's what I would do.
Fantastic. Well, Wayde, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll talk again.